Hi, Dave Roscoe here. It is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. And as I mentioned in my post earlier today, I've been really busy with work lately. And that's because we have a major milestone, a first for our company that is going to be happening at the end of the month. So obviously all hands are on deck to try to make this go off without a hitch. And for, like I've mentioned before, because of that, the one thing that I spend my free time on, which is the production of this daily update, is the one thing that has to move. So I do apologize if I miss a show. And I know there are people who say I don't need to apologize, but I feel I do. People get used to having these daily updates, and I've committed to doing them. So when I can't do them, I do feel like I'm letting you down. Now, as far I asked this question a while back about whether or not I would continue to do daily shows, especially now when the news of any relevance is few and far between. And I'm going to continue to try to do shows every day. I think it's important to have a voice of reason, a voice of clarity, a voice of calm that you can turn to every day. I'm trying to be that voice. Hopefully I'm succeeding. There was a very good video by OGA or Oga Investor. I don't know if you follow this guy. I've stopped following Raise United for a couple of reasons. I got tired of his clickbaity thumbnails and his lack of any real content on his videos. And I do believe he had shadow banned me on his channel for no good reason. So you know what? I just decided to leave Raise behind. You're free to follow him as you see fit. I just don't, and I no longer find his style of reporting worthwhile. But OGA Investor is a different story. He's been reporting on Pi for a long time, and I like him. I don't know if you guys know who Bob Ross is, but he's like the Bob Ross of the Pi network. He's so calm, and he's a real treat to listen to. But he knows his stuff, and he does a really good job of like cutting through the noise and explaining what's really important. And he recently put out a video that did just that. And I'm going to put that video link in the comments. So you should check him out. If you're not following him, you should. He doesn't post videos every day, but when he does, it's worth listening to. There was also rumors about a Pi Network SDK in Rust that has been released, and we'll talk about that. And I also want to talk about a change to my moderation strategy for the channel moving forward. But first, the metrics. The Anti-cammerbot is at 7 wins, 3 losses. And I have decided to stop offering my Anti-cammerbot. It was a lot of work to create. It's a lot of work to maintain. And it's going to be a lot of work to keep running after the version 23 update. And the fact of the matter is, there's just not enough interest in the community for me to warrant me spending that much time. Like, as I mentioned, I have precious little free time as it is. I thought this would be worthwhile, and it was for a very brief period, but that seems to have dried up. So I am making the official announcement now. I am no longer soliciting victims from Anti-cammerbot. So if your wallet is compromised, I'm sorry. You'll have to find help somewhere else. The circulating supply is at 8.24 billion Pi, and there have been no user accounts migrated in the last several days. There remains 15.7 million Pi in the Pi migration wallet, and migrations are not happening now. The migrated unlocked rewards are at 3.15 billion Pi, with 3.9 million unlocked Pi in the last 48 hours and free to be traded on the open markets. Now, I'm already on the price action screen. Normally, I would start with the full screen view, and I've just realized that I didn't start there, and I don't feel like re-recording the opening, so we're just going to continue. The Pi current trading price is at 24 cents, and a lot of people are upset about this because it dropped from, close to 27 cents back down to 24 cents, and a lot of people are not happy about it. And this is a key reason for why I'm making a change to my moderation policy. And I'll tell you all about that in just a minute. So yes, the Pi coin is currently trading at 24 cents. I don't care. If you care, then maybe you shouldn't be here, because the Pi core team doesn't care about the price. As long as it's not zero, they've got all they need to do what they want to do. Okay. The Pi core team is building, and they're not ready yet. But I digress. The market cap is at $1.98 billion. That makes me sad because we're now under $2 billion, which is down 2.39%. And the daily trading volume is at 34.45 million, which is down 28.36%. And I know that prior to the current downturn, the volume was the lowest I've ever seen it for this coin. And you always have to wonder. I say this all the time. When volume's low, you have to be careful. Right before the drop in the Pi coin, the trading volume increased significantly. And then you saw the drop. Now, it can go the other way too, but it's very volatile. When the volume is low, especially with a low liquidity coin, like the Pi coin, you're just asking for trouble if you're trading this coin on the markets when the volume is low. Now, the volume goes high for very brief periods. So if you're going to trade when the volume is high, you can follow the market and maybe make a little bit of money, but it's going to be for a very brief period of time. I just don't see any point in trying to trade the Pi coin. Either buy it now while it's low and hold it, or just ignore it and come check on it again in a year. I don't know what to tell you, but if you're trading the Pi coin and you're losing money, you've got no one to blame but yourself. Now, I've mentioned about changes to my future moderation. In the past, I have accepted people who have been respectful of my posting rules, but have decided to say things like the Pi coin is a scam, the Pi coin is trash, the Pi coin's going to drop to zero, blah, blah, blah. And I've allowed that in the past. That is going to change. My channel exists for the sole purpose of providing fact-based news about the Pi network. It makes no judgment on the current price. And my target audience are for people who see this as a long-term project and don't care about the price and aren't going to make judgments based on the current price. So moving forward, if you have anything to say about the fact that the Pi coin, or you think that the Pi coin is going to drop to some ridiculously low value, or it's a scam, or it's failed, or whatever, I will remove your comments. If you don't like it, don't make the comments. If you really don't like it, leave. But I will tell you this. If you escalate, I will remove you from view. And that's it. I'm not going to mince words. My channel is a haven of positivity. Now, I'm not a cheerleader for the Pi network. The news I provide is honest. It has no spin. It's got no fluff. It's got no bias whatsoever. The only bias that I have on my channel is that I believe in the Pi network. And people who post comments about the future of Pi in a negative way, I'm going to remove. You have no idea, none, the future of Pi. You're extrapolating based on current status and the fact that you're not happy about it because it's not checking off your boxes. Well, I don't care. Okay. And if you want to mouth off about the performance of Pi, you can do it somewhere else. but you're not going to have an audience on my channel. My channel is about positivity and hope for the future. And that hope for the future includes the Pi Network. So you've been warned. I'm not going to play games. You don't like it, I will remove your comments and maybe you just move on. Okay. I don't care about losing subscribers. Okay. The people that remain are the people that I want here. And they are the people who will appreciate what I'm doing. I'm getting sick and tired of seeing all of the negativity. And I can tell you this right now, the Pi coin is just fine. Anyone who says it's not is just not in it for the right reasons. Okay. Well, I've said my piece and you've been warned and I will do what I'm going to do. And like I said, you don't like it, too bad. It's my channel. So there was a rumor of going around about the Pi Network releasing in a Rust SDK for the Pi Network. And it's not a rumor, but it's a little bit exaggerated. It has not been released. It's a work in progress, and it's obviously open source. And now, for those of you who don't know, Rust is a programming language that is highly, highly robust, and it is something that is used extensively in the crypto market, especially for smart contracts, because of its mathematically proven correctness. And for obvious reasons, smart contracts can leverage this. So it's not released yet, but this is important, right? This shows you that the Pi Network sees smart contracts as its future, because this really is targeted at smart contracts. And this is big. Anybody who thinks that the Pi core team is asleep at the wheel is just not looking in the right places. There's been so much great activity from the Pi core team, more than we've ever seen in the last 6 years. Yet there's more and more people who want to trash the coin just because of a few numbers on a screen. And I keep saying, look at Bitcoin. There were people trashing Bitcoin left and right. And it was worth nothing. And the true believers held on. Or maybe they just stopped paying attention. Either way, it was effective, because now look at Bitcoin. Okay. Now Pi Network, in a lot of ways, is going to be more successful than Bitcoin. And I'm not talking about dollar values. Okay. I'm talking about true worldwide adoption, a true seamless digital currency. Now, if you don't realize what's happening, there's a reason why the Pi Network is so invested in AI. If you don't follow AI, you should, because it's going to change everything, and not necessarily for the good. Most jobs are going to be eliminated by AI, which means people's livelihoods are going to evaporate. And you're hearing more and more and more about the concept of a universal basic income, because capitalist societies cannot survive if your citizens can't spend money. And the one thing that AI can provide us is a post-scarcity world. But post-scarcity isn't compatible with capitalism. So universal basic income, I think, is coming. And I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but a lot of the focus of the Pi Network, a lot of the recent partnerships that they've announced and the appearances seem to suggest that the Pi Network is positioning itself to be part of that infrastructure. And that would be huge. Now, we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But I'm going to tell you this right now. The Pi core team are not idiots. You might think that because of the way they're doing things, that they are. But when they make moves, these moves are good. And I think some of the things that they throw out there, honestly, are distractions. to keep people looking at something else while they're building something else. I can't say it any other way. I think they do put up some smoke screens, but I think if you pay close attention, they're working on some extremely game-changing moves that will change the world. And whether they can pull that off, I don't know, but my gut tells me they're ahead of the game and they got the right partnerships brewing. Now, I'm not going to get into too much details, but they have implicit links to some of the biggest corporations on the planet. So don't rule them out. Well, that's all I've got for today. I apologize for going negative, but I have to adjust to the current environment in which we find ourselves in. And I am making some decisions to help me maintain my frame of mind, or my frame of reference, and my sense of purpose, and to level set the expectations of my audience. I'm a believer in pie. I make no bones about it, but I'm also not going to be their cheerleader. When they do something stupid, I'm going to let you know. If I don't agree with what they're doing, I'm going to let you know. If I lose my faith in the pie coin, I'm going to let you know. But I'm not there yet, and you shouldn't be either. So, if anything breaks, I'll be sure to let you know. But until then, don't panic, stay the course, and remember, the success of the Pie Network begins with you. Pie to the moon. Peace.